The Secret of Right Mindfulness in Meditation. Master Ajahn Brahm. Welcome back, everyone, to Mind Podcast. Right mindfulness is one of the 5 spiritual faculties that contribute to the success of meditation. Without a full understanding and practice of right mindfulness, you could waste a lot of time in your meditation practice. Establishing the gatekeeper mindfulness is not just about being aware, awake, fully conscious of what is happening around you. Mindfulness also guides awareness to specific issues, remembers instructions, and makes responses. In one example, the Buddha described mindfulness as a gatekeeper. Suppose you are a wealthy person who hires a gatekeeper for your home. One afternoon, before going to the temple to meditate, you tell the gatekeeper to watch out for thieves. When you return, your compassion disappears when you see your house has been cleaned out. "I told you to be vigilant," you shout at the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper replies, "Sir, I have always been observant. I paid attention to the thieves from the moment they broke in, and I carefully watched them take out the flat-screen TV and the sound system. I also paid attention as they went in many times, and my mind never stopped observing, never distracted from each thief. I also carefully watched them take your antique sets and your gold and silver." Hearing this, would you be pleased with such an explanation of vigilance, mindfulness, awareness? A wise gatekeeper must know that right mindfulness is not just about pure attention, not just watching what anyone does. The gatekeeper must remember the instructions, guidelines, and perform the task diligently. If he sees thieves breaking into the house, he must stop them, or at least call the police. Similarly, a meditator does not just sit simply paying attention to whatever comes and goes from the mind. A skillful meditator remembers the instructions and practices them diligently. For example, the Buddha once instructed on right effort, right diligence as the 6th part of the Eightfold Path. A skillful meditator, when practicing right mindfulness, observing any unwholesome state that is intruding into the mind, must stop it. And when any unwholesome or unhealthy state has penetrated the mind, the meditator must find a way to expel it. Unhealthy states, such as lust or anger, are like thieves or seducers. They will steal peace, wisdom, and happiness. Therefore, mindfulness has 2 functions: vigilance and remembering instructions. Vigilance is paying attention, always conscious, always aware of what is happening. Remembering, mindfulness, is remembering the lesson, remembering the instructions and methods to respond and practice correctly to develop the mind. In Buddhist scriptures, the Pali word sati is used with 2 meanings: vigilance and remembering. A person with good mindfulness is a person with good memory. When you pay full attention to what you are doing, the vigilance will be etched in your mind, making it easy for you to remember it. For example, suppose there was a situation where you were about to be hit by a car. Because of this danger, your attention becomes extremely sharp. And because the intensity of attention at that time is so strong, you clearly remember that event. Even when you go to sleep, you can hardly forget it. This shows the connection of attention, vigilance, and remembering, mindfulness. The more you pay attention to what you are doing, the clearer you remember it. Let me remind you, these 2 behaviors always go together: attention, vigilance, and remembering, mindfulness. If the gatekeepers are trained in attention, they will pay careful attention to the instructions their owner or commander has given. If they have paid full attention to the instructions, then they will remember them and perform them diligently. Thus, we should guide ourselves to pay full attention so that we will clearly remember what we need to do. Likewise, the job of a teacher is to provide clear instructions to help us guide our minds. When the teaching and practice in meditation are done methodically, with a method, and each stage of meditation practice must be clearly defined, then our gatekeeper, mindfulness, will have the clarity to perform its task. When you begin your meditation practice, remember that there's a gatekeeper within, a presence that can be aware and conscious of what is happening, and remember the instructions. For example, when you meditate focusing on the present moment, you might instruct the gatekeeper roughly like this: "This is the time to be vigilant about the present moment." Tell the gatekeeper this 3 times. If you repeat something multiple times, you will remember it more clearly. When we were young and couldn't spell a difficult word, we had to write and read it hundreds of times before we could memorize it. At that time, we had to make an effort and practice mindfulness. What is easy does not require much attention. Therefore, you must challenge yourself a bit by repeating the instruction. I will pay attention to the present moment. I will pay attention to the present moment. I will pay attention to the present moment 3 times. For the gatekeeper and other workers, don't repeatedly remind them of an instruction every few seconds or minutes. Just state and emphasize it 3 times at the beginning, and then let the gatekeeper do their job. Trust that the gatekeeper will remember the task. Continuously reminding the gatekeeper is like sitting in the back seat of a taxi and constantly directing the driver. You only need to state your destination clearly at the beginning, lean back in your seat, and let the driver find the best route to get you there. You need to trust that the driver knows the best route. However, imagine if you continuously instructed the driver, turn left, turn right, speed up, slow down, shift to 3rd gear, look in the rearview mirror, stay in the right lane. Surely, after a few hundred meters, that driver would want to kick you out of the car. Similarly, if a meditator continuously directs the gatekeeper, mindfulness, the mind will go mad and refuse to cooperate. Let the mind do its job in the present moment. Don't interfere with it continuously. Hand over clear instructions to the mind, then let go and just observe. If you establish mindfulness in this way, you will find that the mind will follow the instructions correctly. The mind still encounters many things and needs further practice. However, one thing is certain. Once you have given the instructions to mindfulness, as soon as the mind strays to the past or future, mindfulness will remember to return to the present moment. For you, as an observer, this happens automatically. You just need to sit back and watch the gatekeeper do their job without needing to direct any further. This is the understanding of the mind and working with its nature. I encourage you to play games with the mind to explore its capabilities. When I started my first meditation retreat, I was taught not to use an alarm clock. For instance, if you tell yourself that you will wake up at 5 a.m., you will wake up 5-10 minutes before 5 a.m. The mind can do this. I don't know how the mind remembers, but it wakes you up on time. This happens normally for many people. From childhood, when we intend to wake up at a certain time the next morning to go somewhere or do something, the mind usually wakes us up right at that time. So now you program your mind. Now is the time to observe the present moment. Stay in the present moment. Stay in the present moment. That's all you need to do. Then let the mind do its work. Another important thing is to provide clear instructions to the gatekeeper about who to let in and who not to let in. If you only provide a general guest list, that's not enough. If the gatekeeper doesn't have a list of who is not allowed in, they might get confused. In phase 1 of meditation, awareness of the present moment, the guest list, who is allowed in, is anything that is happening right now. It could be the sound of a distant car. It could be the wind. It could be a cough or a knock on the door. What it is doesn't matter. If it's happening right now, it is a guest of the present moment. It could be the breath. It could be a nimitta. It could be a jhana. All are part of the present moment. Therefore, you must clearly instruct who will be allowed in and needs to be welcomed. You also need to be clear about who is not allowed in. Who are the uninvited guests, the disruptors of your awareness of the present moment? These enemies are thoughts, perceptions, or fantasies about the past or future. They are the constant pondering, the back and forth, and the forward and back. They are memories of the past and imaginations of the future. It's crucial to recognize these uninvited guests and clearly name them for the gatekeeper. When you start to meditate, tell yourself 3 times, I will focus on the present moment and dispel all distractions about the past or future. You should clearly inform the gatekeeper about the dangers as well as the goals, helping mindfulness perform its task. When an uninvited guest or a thief appears, mindfulness knows, this is not my task. Thus, do not let it in, do not welcome it. Similarly, mindfulness knows that thoughts or perceptions are not attention to the present moment, so it immediately dispels those thoughts or perceptions about the past or future. Gatekeeper in Phase 2. Phase 2, silent awareness of the present moment, aims for silence, and the uninvited guests are internal dialogues. Therefore, right from the start of this phase, You must tell your mind, I will silently focus on the present moment and will dispel all internal dialogue. Repeat this statement 2 or 3 times. By doing so, you establish mindfulness. You set meditation up for success because you have given the gatekeeper clear instructions. Gatekeeper in Phase 3. In Phase 3 of meditation, silent awareness of the present moment of the breath, the only invited guest is the breath present in the current moment. Who are the uninvited guests? They are everything else apart from the breath, whether they are outside noises, internal sensations, thoughts about lunch or dinner, or anything else. Anything apart from the breath is an uninvited guest in this phase. Therefore, you need to tell yourself 3 times, I will focus on the breath in the present moment and will dispel all thoughts and perceptions. Again, you should clearly tell your mind what to do and what not to do, then let the mind do the work as instructed. You just sit and watch. When a thought arises, such as hearing the sound of someone mowing the lawn outside, the mind immediately knows that it's not its task to do, and automatically turns away from that sound. This is how you train the mind in mindfulness. It's fascinating to observe the mind when it is well trained. Once the mind has been clearly directed, it remembers what to do, it knows what it is doing, and meditation becomes smooth and gentle. However, meditation is not entirely easy or gentle. You must put in effort, but it must be at the right time. Then it will be effective. It's like planting a tree. There are times you need to exert effort to care for it, and times you just let the tree grow on its own. You sow the seed, fertilize, water it, but most of the time spent growing a tree is watching, ensuring nothing interferes with its growth process. The seed has received instructions, it just needs the opportunity. Similarly, don't interfere too much with the mind. Don't always poke at it, push it, or tell it what to do, because if you keep interfering, it will go crazy. Leave me alone. Hey, I'm trying to do my job. Stay out of my way. Just like being a passenger in the back seat, continuously directing and ordering the driver won't be able to drive and will kick the passenger out soon after. And if you don't let the mind be, your meditation is as good as over. Gatekeeper in Phase 4. In Phase 4 of meditation, maintaining full attention on the breath, the gatekeeper is instructed to be fully vigilant about the breath in every moment and not let anything interfere with this continuous, smooth attention. I will continuously and fully focus on the breath and will dismiss all else besides the breath. By thoroughly and clearly directing the gatekeeper, you create the opportunity for mindfulness to succeed. You just need to say this directive to yourself 3 times before starting meditation. And as you meditate, you will see how it unfolds. If you have given such clear instructions to the mind, but after a minute or 2 you find yourself distracted from the breath, it could be for one of 2 reasons. Either you have directed the mind clearly and thoroughly, or your mindfulness is still too weak. If mindfulness is weak, you should repeat the instruction after every 3 or 4 minutes, reinforcing the mind's task. However, instructions should not be repeated every 10 or 15 seconds. Constant repetition is not reminding but rather disturbing, which causes further confusion in the mind during meditation, and therefore does not allow meditation to succeed, creating more restlessness and frustration. But if you have carefully and clearly instructed yourself, you will always remember those instructions. Through each phase, your mindfulness will deepen. You will find that mindfulness begins with a broad domain, the present moment, to roam within. Gradually, the area designated for mindfulness narrows. Then, mindfulness focuses on the silence of the present moment, eliminating all that pertains to internal dialogues. Next, it eliminates even the silence and everything else, focusing solely on the silent awareness of the breath in the present moment. Then further, it focuses solely on full awareness of the breath, from the beginning of the inhalation to its end, from the start of the exhalation to its end. In each stage, mindfulness narrows its scope and gathers strength. The principle is like forces dispersed over a vast area being concentrated to increase the strength of a direction. Like broad visions, being gradually narrowed to a more distinct and focused viewpoint. Samadhi, focused tranquility. Samadhi is often translated as concentration, but here I define it fully as focused tranquility. Now revisiting phase 3, which is the focus on the breath, at this point you only need to be aware of a part of each inhalation and a part of each exhalation. Once you have recognized part of the inhalation, the mind may be distracted elsewhere, but it must return home just in time to catch the next exhalation. Then, as it observes the exhalation, it may again be distracted and observe other things until it must return home to catch the next inhalation. This situation is typically common for all meditators practicing at this stage. At this point, mindfulness can still wander elsewhere. It is tied to the breath, but with a long leash. Like you chain your dog inside the house, but it can still run back and forth within the radius of the leash. But in phase 4, full attention to the breath, you need to lock the attentive awareness only to the breath, not letting it get wander anywhere else. This stage is crucial in meditation because it is the first time you firmly grasp your meditation object. Mindfulness is now gathered at a small part of life, your breath. Now you are focusing the attention, gathering it together, rather than letting it spread out everywhere. When mindfulness is gathered, it becomes powerful. This is like using a magnifying glass to burn a piece of paper. You concentrate all the light energy through the glass into a bright beam that can burn through the paper. This is how we describe and define the concentration of the mind, as we call it. Like countless droplets, groundwater streams, small streams, larger streams, tributaries, over a vast area are now gathered and pour into a large river, creating a powerful flow of a major river. This is focused tranquility, samadhi, which can maintain attention on an object, and it is not easy to do. Let's take the example of a surgeon performing surgery. These doctors often have to stand for many hours to perform a surgery. They stand for a long time, but they do not feel tired because they must maintain attention on the tip of the scalpel. Just a minor lapse, a moment of inattention, and the patient could die. Surgeons performing surgeries practice a form of concentration, samadhi. They do not feel the pain in their legs because they concentrate all their attention on the scalpel tip. Surgeons achieve such a high level of samadhi, concentration, because they need to have such skill to perform surgery. During surgery, there is only one thing in the world they care about, that is the surgery they are performing. The message of samadhi. Meditation. If something is important, we can do it. This means that when an object or task is very important, we typically focus our attention intensely and can accomplish it. Often, the things we do not regard as important are those we pay less attention to, and thus we fail to do well or achieve little. Generating energy. Another essential element for mindfulness is energy. You need energy at every stage of meditation, and this energy is generated by everything you put into what you are doing. Do not hold back anything for the next moment. A common mistake, especially with the energy of the mind, is thinking, if I give all my effort in the present moment, I won't have energy for the next one. But this mindset is incorrect for the mind. The more effort you put into the present moment, the more energy you will have in the next moment. There is an infinite reservoir of mental energy, and if you invest a lot of energy in what you are doing in the present moment, you will find that in the next moment, in the next 5 minutes, or in the next hour, you will actually be more alert and vigilant. My teacher, Master Ajahn often said, when you are doing something, put all your mind into it. This will increase your energy. Conversely, if you think, oh, I don't need to give all my effort to the present moment, then you become dull and won't enjoy anything in life. When eating, focus your mind entirely on each bite you take. You will see that you are aware of it. This way, you enjoy it more. The uninvited guest that disrupts mindfulness is when you are eating but thinking about something else. Often, many people don't even know what they are putting into their mouths. Therefore, it's no wonder that many people have poor digestion or frequently suffer from digestive disorders. There are many people who eat an important breakfast while reading the newspaper, talking on the phone, admiring the scenery, or planning various things. It's unclear whether they are eating or doing something else. Lighting up the lamps. Whenever you are doing something, be fully aware of what you are doing, and thus energy will naturally be generated. As you build mindfulness and it becomes more refined, you will realize that you are emerging from a very dark and cluttered world. And as you become more mindful, it's like someone has turned on the lights in the room, or like the sun has risen, illuminating everything. Thus, you see much more around you. It's also like shining a spotlight on reality, and you begin to see the subtle beauty of rich colors, interesting shapes and forms, and deep textures. Everything is beautifully and wonderfully displayed. When mindfulness becomes strong, it not only generates insightful wisdom, but also creates joy and happiness. When you have developed strong mindfulness, it's like stepping into a beautiful garden in brilliant sunshine. It enhances energy and inspiration. When you have strong mindfulness, i.e., clarity of the mind, and if you focus, concentrate, illuminate it on a small part of the world, you will see deeply into the nature of that part. The experience of focused and clear awareness is magical and wonderful. You see much more beauty and truth, far beyond what you could have imagined. Thus, developing mindfulness is like lighting up the lamps of the mind. When you maintain mindfulness on an object, instead of letting it scatter everywhere, mindfulness will naturally generate its own energy. You begin to see all things deeply and wondrously, strengthening the power of insightful wisdom. Strong mindfulness will enhance the muscles of insightful wisdom. Take an object, such as a leaf from a shrub, and maintain your attention on that leaf. Allow your mindfulness to become so tranquil that you see not just a green leaf, but an entire world within it. That's when you truly understand the power of mindfulness. When you can maintain your mindfulness on an object, you will know how it illuminates and reveals the beauty of that object. It's a marvel to see the many things, details, colors, and textures within that tiny leaf. This is when mindfulness merges interestingly with its object, displaying a type of insightful wisdom that deeply explores the nature of things as never before seen. However, if at that moment another thought arises, such as wondering what to eat for lunch, then you no longer deeply observe the leaf. Mindfulness loses its depth. It may start to fade, or if you start to wonder, is someone watching me? They must think I'm odd for staring at this leaf. At that moment, mindfulness is interrupted, and the moment of mindfulness is broken. Therefore, it's crucial to maintain strong, continuous, and intimate mindfulness on an object to truly see through and be amazed by what you observe. If you practice focused tranquility, samadhi, meditation, the ability to maintain mindfulness on an object for a long time, you will have the capability to delve deeply into the object with insightful wisdom and see profoundly into its nature. If you want to discover the deep truths of life for yourself, this is how you uncover truth without relying on books or understanding the words of teachers. This is the way to experience enlightenment. You practice a strong mindfulness and direct it to where good wisdom originates, especially within the mind. If you maintain focus on your mind and dive deep into it, you will find what the Buddhist sages often call deep, insightful wisdom. Let's summarize the method of mindfulness. I, what true mindfulness is. T, how to practice and develop it, and especially, Dri, how to establish mindfulness in each phase of your meditation. You must guide the gatekeeper, mindful mind, clearly so the mindful mind knows exactly what it needs to do. Then you just sit down and watch the mind do its work. That is all you need to do. Different levels of mindfulness. Coming and going, lost and found. One of the wonders of meditation is when you practice mindfulness, you notice different levels of mindfulness. You see that your usual mindfulness is too dim and useless, not capable of gaining wisdom. It's too weak and not sharp enough. As you progress in meditation, your mindfulness becomes sharper and stronger. As a result, you can maintain attention on very subtle and delicate places, and at that point, mindfulness is very clear. And as you meditate deeper, mindfulness becomes stronger, more agile, and sharper. Sometimes meditators lose their meditation object. Lose here means not being able to see, not that it slipped away, not that attention has been distracted away from the meditation object. Lose because the object itself has vanished, not because the meditator has wandered off from the object. For example, if the meditation object is breath, you lose the breath. What happens then? It's that the breath has become very subtle, but the mindfulness is still at a coarse level. Mindfulness can no longer keep up with the development of the breath. What should you do then? you have to return to the previous stage of meditation. This phenomenon often happens, especially in phase 4, maintaining full attention on the breath, and you need to immediately go back to practicing phase 3. Sometimes breath disappears and a nimitta sign may appear, but you cannot maintain the nimitta. Why is this? Because the nimitta is very subtle, much subtler than a beautiful breath. So mindfulness needs to be pure enough to maintain the nimitta. But you have not yet practiced and built mindfulness to this level. Therefore, you have to go back to the previous stage of meditation before the nimitta appeared. In practice, it means you go back to phase 3, full attention to the beautiful breath. Beautiful breath is a subtle object, but still coarser than nimitta. And you can practice again to focus on the breath object until mindfulness is practiced strongly and maturely before moving to the nimitta stage. After mindfulness has been fully matured in phase 5, then it will have enough strength to handle the subtler and more delicate nimitta object. The principle is that you must practice how to maintain focus on a coarser object smoothly and strongly before moving to meditate on a subtler object. After each stage of meditation, the quality of mindfulness becomes higher, more agile, and sharper than in the previous stage. The level of mindfulness required to maintain the nimitta sign is akin to the skill of a neurosurgeon wielding a scalpel, whereas the level of mindfulness needed to maintain focus on the breath is like the skill of peeling a potato with a knife. You need a higher level for the more delicate task. If you leap from peeling potatoes to brain surgery, you will surely kill the patient immediately. Similarly, if you jump straight from the breath stage to the nimitta stage, you are sure to fail immediately. You will lose the nimitta because you do not yet have the skills to sustain, maintain, develop that nimitta. As you progress, you may experience an unwavering, unshakable mindfulness, which is total mindfulness on an object, very clear, very sharp. The Buddha said that we could achieve the highest level of mindfulness in the 4th jhana. This is the pinnacle of mindfulness where you achieve complete letting go. You are fully awake and immobile. This is the most potent state of mindfulness that a practitioner can experience. Once you experience this level of mindfulness, you will understand how amusing it is that some think they can achieve enlightenment without attaining the jhana meditation levels. Why? Because without achieving such strong mindfulness, how can you achieve powerful, insightful wisdom? Thus, you begin to recognize what kind of mindfulness and what level of mindfulness you need to achieve enlightenment. As you can see, mindfulness in everyday life is one thing, and mindfulness in deep meditation is another. Mindfulness has various levels of strength, subtlety, and penetrative capacity. Just as there are different types of knives, dull and sharp knives, potato peelers, and surgical scalpels, so too with mindfulness, which ranges from weak, ordinary, good to the most powerful. Therefore, if you develop sharp and powerful mindfulness, you can delve deep into the nature of the mind and discover the beautiful treasures of the truths of impermanence, anicca, suffering, dukkha, and non-self, anatta. When I say these are beautiful treasures, many object. How can suffering be a treasure? How can impermanence and non-self be treasures? Simply because ordinary people usually favor things that seem miraculous and ethereal, like beauty, something that sounds transcendent, celestial realms, cultivation, becoming celestial, life in celestial realms, or the essence of all life, like the great self. This very thought is why they fail to find the true treasure. They don't know what they are looking for. Using different meditation methods to refresh your practice. In this chapter, I will introduce different types of meditation: loving-kindness meditation, letting go meditation, and walking meditation. These 3 types of meditation are almost identical to breath meditation, only differing in the focus object. You will find these methods useful as they contribute to the diversity of your meditation practice. If you only practice one type of meditation, you might become bored, and thus you might drift into a dull state, or you might lose all inspiration and give up entirely. You need joy in your meditation practice. It not only acts like glue sticking mindfulness to its object, but it also serves as the entertainment, in the true sense of the word, that draws you back to meditation practice. The motto in physical training or martial arts might be, no pain, no gain. But the motto in meditation could be, no joy, No mindfulness. Loving kindness meditation. The word the Buddha used for loving kindness is metta. It refers to a type of emotion, a feeling of goodwill that maintains thoughts wishing others to be happy, and it is the willingness to forgive any faults of others. My favorite expression of loving kindness is, "The door of my heart is open to you forever, no matter who you are or what you have done." Metta is a love that is selfless, non-selfish, arising from a wish not requiring any reciprocation, and without any conditions. The Buddha likened loving kindness to a mother's love for her child. A mother does not always like every action of her child, or agree with everything they want, but she always cares for them and wishes only happiness for them. This unconditional, non-discriminatory, and liberating nature is what metta, or loving kindness, embodies. Loving kindness meditation involves focusing on the feeling of loving kindness, cultivating it until it fills your heart. To practice this, you should start like you would a campfire. Begin with easily flammable materials such as paper. Then add twigs, small sticks, or dry bark. Once the fire is somewhat stable, you can add larger logs, and eventually even damp or green wood can catch fire and brightly illuminate the campsite. Metta is like warm sparks emanating from your heart. You shouldn't try to ignite the fire of metta with hard-to-burn materials, which is like trying to start a campfire by striking a match on a large log. A fire can't be started that way. Therefore, you shouldn't start loving kindness meditation by directing metta towards yourself or someone you dislike. Instead, begin with something much easier. My method of loving kindness meditation begins by establishing mindfulness in the present moment, setting up stage 1 as directed in chapter 1. Then I begin metta by imagining a lovable animal. For me, it's a kitten. For you, it might be a cute and loyal dog. I like cats, so the image of a kitten for me ignites metta very quickly. I only need to think of the image of the kitten, and my heart lights up with loving kindness. Then I imagine a hypothetical kitten, the reality of a kitten's life, a short life often subject to neglect, scares, beatings, or if not cared for by humans, possibly abandoned, starved, cold, lonely, wandering into the life of a stray. I always look directly into its eyes, eye contact being a direct, empathetic, understanding, and expressive communication. I usually gently pick up the kitten, hold it close to my chest, as if to warm it further, dispelling the fear in its eyes. I always want to see it healthy, relaxed, and contentedly purring. This is the initial step I choose to practice compassion, metta. I often use imagined images and internal dialogues to paint the scene where the flame of loving kindness begins to arise in my heart. After such practice, I close my eyes, focus on the area around the heart, and feel the warm rays of metta radiating from it. I choose a kitten, but you may choose anything you like to start kindling the flame of loving kindness. At this point, the object we choose is like a piece of paper to kindle the flame of metta. However, whatever object you choose should be hypothetical, not real. Because when you practice metta towards an imaginary being, you have the freedom to generate loving kindness, as you can imagine any situation that could realistically happen to that being, unlike a real being in front of you that is well cared for and where you cannot see other circumstances. For example, imagining abandoned kittens immediately evokes a pitiable scene, not having to wait until you see a starving cat on the street to generate compassion. Use the power of imagination contemplation to generate compassion, and from there, you will be able to generate compassion for various beings. This is a new practice method, bringing joy to your loving kindness meditation. A few years ago, a meditator told me she didn't like cats, dogs, or noisy children playing in the dirt. Therefore, she was stuck and couldn't practice metta. I suggested she start practicing metta towards the flowers she grows and cares for every day in her home. Imagine the delicate seedlings, the newly sprouted branches needing true human care to grow. And believe it or not, it worked. Her compassion was ignited from there. After igniting the flame of metta for small beings, we begin to transfer that flame to real people. It might be someone dear to us, close, or a best friend, making it easier to genuinely generate metta. In the example of the campfire, this second object is like the small sticks following the paper used to start the fire. Again, use visualization and internal dialogue to imagine a loved one in your mind. They too need happiness and want to avoid suffering. Yet in life, few can evade pain and unhappiness. You might say to yourself, "Dear brother, sister, friend, I sincerely wish you happiness. May your body be free of pain and illness, and your mind filled with peace. I offer you my selfless love. You are always in my heart. I truly care about you." Or you can use different words in your own way. Any language or expression that arouses warm feelings of loving kindness towards them. Hold that person in your mind. Imagine seeing them right in front of you until your loving kindness shines warmly, encompassing them and you. Then focus on the area around your heart, and you will feel a warm sensation there. You will find this interesting and worthwhile. Now start shifting to family members as your subjects. Parents, children, siblings, aunts, uncles. Use the same method and perhaps pray, "May my father, mother, sister, brother live happily. May they always be fortunate, free from misfortune and suffering." Visualize them in front of you until your loving kindness illuminates and envelops them. The next step is to practice loving kindness towards a group of people, perhaps your family. Proceed similarly and recite such prayers. At this point, the family members are like the large logs you've added to your metaphorical campfire. Now, envision loving kindness as a golden light emanating from a beautiful white lotus at the center of your heart. Allow this light of loving kindness to expand in all directions, covering more beings until the light of loving kindness spreads infinitely, filling your heart, as the Buddha described in the Metta Sutta. May all beings be happy and peaceful. May the hearts of all beings be content. All beings, strong or weak, tall, stout or medium, short, small or large, seen or unseen, near or far, born or to be born, may none deceive or despise another anywhere. May all beings be filled with happiness. Stay there for a while to feel it all. Keep practicing, and you will understand the words we have described about loving kindness encompassing the world. Going back to the campfire analogy, the fire now blazes brightly, illuminating a whole area, even able to ignite damp and fresh logs that are usually difficult to burn in the early stages. Think of the people who hate you or your enemies. Think of those who have harmed you, hurt you deeply. You might find it hard to believe, but by this point, your loving kindness is strong enough for you to forgive them and wish them happiness. At this moment, the light of your loving kindness also reaches their hearts. Even though what you have done to me in the past, holding on to hatred does not benefit me or you, I sincerely wish you happiness and good health. I truly hope you are free from past pain and always find joy in the present and future. May the beauty of unconditional loving kindness reach you. Next, and most challenging, are the final wet logs you add to the fire of loving kindness. This is yourself. Most meditators find that the hardest person to practice loving kindness towards is themselves. Imagine you're looking at yourself in a mirror. Speak to yourself with all sincerity, similar in content to, "I want myself to be healthy. I offer myself the gift of happiness. The door of my heart has long been closed to myself. Now I open it. Whatever I have done or will do wrong, the door of love and appreciation for myself is always open to me. I forgive myself unconditionally for all the mistakes and regrets I have created. Come back home. I offer love without judgment. I always care about someone called me." Use your own words to help the warmth of loving kindness penetrate deep into your heart, deep into your most fearful places. Let loving kindness forgive, love, appreciate, bestow, and care for yourself. Thus, you can truly practice loving kindness towards yourself. Before ending your loving kindness meditation session, take a minute or two to reflect on how you feel inside. Recognize the effect this meditation has on you. In fact, loving kindness meditation can create blissful joy. To beautifully conclude your loving kindness meditation, once again, imagine the golden light of loving kindness radiating from the white lotus that is your heart. Visualize the rays of light gathering back into the lotus, leaving a warm area around it. As the light of loving kindness converges back to the white lotus, the petals close, as if embracing the seed of loving kindness in your heart, ready to shine forth in the next session of loving kindness meditation. Then, open your eyes, slowly rise from your meditation cushion. Practice loving kindness, and you yourself will realize that the instructions and descriptions provided above are real, and you are fully capable of implementing them to cultivate loving kindness. Loving-kindness is very beneficial for meditation in general, and later you will find that you can carry this profound state of loving-kindness into deeper meditation levels. Calming the mind. Loving-kindness meditation softens the heart and directs it towards caring, goodwill, and acceptance. The mind becomes gentle. Understandably, you become less selfish, less concerned with your own rights and needs, and interact more peacefully with others. Emotionally, loving-kindness feels delightful and pure. If you practice loving-kindness regularly, it will always reside within your heart. You become a compassionate, empathetic person, and your kindness becomes a source of joy for all beings and yourself. Again, when you successfully practice loving-kindness, you will personally see these teachings accurately describe the real state of your loving-kindness. Loving-kindness helps you embrace other beings, regardless of who they are. Many find this impossible only because their minds are always critical, always finding faults in others. Their minds see only the negative, the flaws in others. But if loving-kindness is cultivated, it embraces the whole being, accepting them as they are, without discrimination or judgment. Through the practice of loving-kindness, please try it, you will find that you no longer notice or are conscious of your own faults and the shortcomings of others and all other beings. And from there, you can love, embrace them, no longer judging or evaluating them. This way, you no longer harbor much resentment or jealousy towards them and yourself. For example, in the stage of meditation, focusing on the present moment, you must accept things as they are, whatever they are, just attentively embracing each moment as it comes, without opinions or criticism. But if you keep finding fault, having opinions about the present moment, then you're not truly in the present. You're not maintaining pure and restful attention in the now. You can combine loving-kindness meditation with breath meditation. When you practice stage 3 awareness of the breath, observe the breath with loving-kindness. You might think, "Dear breath, the door of my heart is open for you, no matter how you feel, no matter what you do." As soon as you think this, you'll quickly find yourself observing the breath with a compassionate mind, embracing it rather than judging or fault-finding it. When loving-kindness is added to the process of awareness, you no longer have expectations, because the breath is already perfect as it is. With loving-kindness, you will feel a very attractive warmth entering the breath, bringing joy with each inhale and exhale. It's wonderful to observe the breath for a while and see the breath become beautiful breath. This means you are advancing to stage 5 of meditation, as explained in earlier chapters, bringing loving-kindness into the jhana meditation levels. Jhana, or the meditation levels, are emotional peaks, not intellectual ones. You can't think your way into a meditation level, but you can feel your way into it. To be successful, you need to be familiar with your emotional world enough to trust it silently without any control. Perhaps for this reason, female meditators seem to enter meditation levels more easily than male meditators. Loving-kindness meditation makes it easier for everyone to engage with the power of their emotions. Sometimes you might cry during loving-kindness meditation, tears streaming down uncontrollably. If this happens, let it be natural. On the path to enlightenment, we all must learn about the intensity of the purest emotions, and the jhana levels are the purest of all. Therefore, meditation on loving-kindness helps us access the jhana states more easily. Indeed, we can even use loving-kindness meditation to directly enter the jhana states. When you practice loving-kindness to the stage described above, where golden rays of loving-kindness can radiate infinitely across the world, encompassing all sentient beings with the vast power of loving-kindness, then you move to the next step. The next step is to forget all beings and no longer pay attention to where the power of loving-kindness comes from. Instead, you focus only on the experience of loving-kindness itself. This step often happens naturally, rather than by decision. The meditation object has been refined, with no awareness of different beings anymore. All that remains in your mind is what I like to call disembodied loving-kindness, similar to the afterimage of the Cheshire Cat's smile in the example from Chapter 2. You experience this in the eye of the mind with a sphere of golden light. This is the afterimage of loving-kindness. This is the nimitta of loving-kindness. The metta nimitta. A nimitta created from loving-kindness meditation is always extremely beautiful, although sometimes unstable due to the exciting element within it. However, the nature of this nimitta is so compelling that you cannot resist enjoying the immense joy it brings. Thus, after a while, that bright golden nimitta of loving-kindness quiets down and glides into jhana. This is how loving-kindness meditation leads you into the jhana states. So if you practice loving-kindness to an infinite extent, and then focus only on the sensation of loving-kindness intimately and quietly, the afterimage of loving-kindness will naturally appear, and this beautiful golden nimitta will guide you into and realize the jhana meditation levels. Spreading loving-kindness after deep meditation. States years ago at our monastery in Perth, we recited the verses of the Buddha to spread loving-kindness. The chanting lasted only 5 minutes. Before that, I had meditated deeply on loving-kindness, and when I began chanting, my mind was so saturated with loving-kindness that I could not continue chanting a single word. Boundless loving-kindness poured out like a stream, spreading in all directions. I have never finished those verses. My mind was softened, gentle, by the loving-kindness meditation beforehand, so the original teachings, scriptures of the Buddha on how to spread loving-kindness made my loving-kindness overflow uncontrollably. From such experiences, I learned that you should first practice the mind to achieve right concentration, samadhi, tranquility with attention, so that afterwards you can powerfully spread loving-kindness. Conversely, to spread loving-kindness powerfully, a practitioner needs to have first practiced deep right concentration. After achieving deep samadhi, you can capture any object anywhere with that super powerful loving-kindness. At the end of a meditation course I led, I invited the meditators to try something. I knew many meditators had very strong minds by the end of the course. I directed them into loving-kindness meditation, and when I felt their power was strong enough, I invited them to reach out to a distant friend with that powerful loving-kindness. I advised them to choose a friend or relative who was far from the meditation site. Then I looked at the clock and noted the time. At the end of the loving-kindness meditation hour, I told the meditators the time period and instructed them to contact their distant friend and ask what they were doing at that time and how they felt during that period. Many meditators called me in the following days and said, "It really worked." Their friend had received and felt the warm loving-kindness sent to them. When you send loving-kindness from a deeply concentrated and strong mind, the recipient can feel it. You should practice and try it to see for yourself. In other moments, instead of choosing the breath or loving-kindness as the object of meditation, I choose letting go, simply releasing. I just watch my mind and realize that the best thing to do at that moment is to let everything be as it is. Essentially, the practice of letting go is stage 2 of breath meditation. It is about silent awareness in the present moment. It needs to be silent because letting be means you do not interfere, command, or complain. You have nothing to say and need not speak. Letting be occurs in the present moment. You are attentive, alert, and aware of everything as it unfolds in the current instant, and you let things come and go as they please. Meditating by letting be is like sitting in a room, letting whoever comes in, come in. They can stay as long as they like. Even if it's a terrible demon, you sit still, letting them come. You are not disturbed. Even if the Buddha himself, full of radiant aura, steps in, you remain still, completely letting go. Come in if you want. Leave if you want. Whatever arises in your mind, whether beautiful or rough, you step back and let it unfold without reacting. Just silently observe and practice and maintain silent awareness in the present moment. This is meditation by letting be. For example, many people in wide open spaces like in the US often have large gardens where they spend a lot of time gardening and beautifying. But the original idea is to enjoy the garden, not to labor over it. The craft of gardening or farming is done elsewhere. Therefore, I often tell meditators to frequently sit out in their gardens and appreciate its beauty. The less insightful students think they need to mow the lawn, prune the trees, water the flowers, rake the leaves, and make the garden perfectly refined before they can sit and enjoy it. Of course, no garden is perfect, no matter how hard they try. And so, they never rest, never sit still, always busy with this and that, never taking the time to enjoy the garden. On the other hand, average students do nothing at all. Instead of working, they just sit in the garden thinking, the grass needs to be cut, the trees need to be pruned, the flowers have withered, and many fallen leaves need to be raked clean, because the neighbor's garden looks greener and more beautiful, and so on. They just sit and think about what needs to be done for the garden to be perfect, without really enjoying it. They also find no peace at all. The wise meditators have done a lot to beautify their gardens, and now they rest and enjoy its beauty. They say, the grass may need to be cut, the trees may need to be pruned, the leaves may need to be raked clean, but not right now. The garden is good enough as it is, and they comfortably rest, feeling no guilt or discomfort about the garden not being perfect. Meditation by letting be is similar. Don't try to make things perfect. Don't be a perfectionist. Don't try to knit all the yarn into a sweater before you allow yourself to rest. Life is never perfect, and duties are never fully completed. Letting be is a way to encourage you to sit down silently and let your mind rest peacefully amid the imperfections. This is a meditation technique that should be used to maintain the peace and calmness of your mind, to alternate with times when you are not meditating on the breath or loving kindness. Meditation by letting be can become very powerful. If meditating on the breath or on loving kindness or any other type of meditation you practice is not working, it might be because the foundation of your meditation is not correct. Then it's best to apply meditation by letting be. The foundation here might be the sitting place, the atmosphere, the surrounding environment, the weather, the sitting posture, your health. You can sit outside in the garden and let everything happen as it does. Everything unfolds in a way that is calm and satisfying. Even if you are experiencing something beautiful, just let it be that way. No liking, no choosing, no bad thoughts, no good thoughts, no answering, no commenting. Just let everything be as natural as it is. You may still have some dialogue in your mind, but it's just a reminder to let be. Stay present with reality. Just sit with thoughts related only to the meditation object, not thinking about anything else. This way, meditation leads to complete silent awareness in the present moment. That is stage 2. If I am in pain, if I have a headache, stomachache, or any other kind of pain, or if I am being bitten by a mosquito, I say, just let it be. I do not argue or get annoyed about these things. I simply observe the sensation of my body as the mosquito bites and the ensuing itchiness. Just let it be. If you are lying in bed all night unable to sleep, just let it be. If the pain does not subside, just let it be. Live with it. Do not try to escape from it. If a monster enters your room, just let it be. Do not chase it away, nor invite it to stay. You just let it be natural. Letting things be is a way to practice a mind of release. Walking meditation, walking Zen. Walking meditation is wonderful, especially in the early morning. Often, when you wake up earlier than usual, you feel tired, as if you haven't slept enough, and your mind is not clear. One advantage of walking meditation is that you never fall asleep while walking. Therefore, if you are tired, the best meditation is to walk because you may fall asleep while sitting. Walking meditation also generates some energy, and you will feel much more peaceful and relaxed. Walking meditation is encouraged and practiced by the Buddha. If you read the scriptures in the Pali Canon, you will know that the Buddha often practiced walking meditation in the early morning. The Buddha typically did not sit for meditation in the early morning. He walked. Many monks and nuns have attained enlightenment while practicing walking meditation. Walking meditation is an effective way to develop calm, concentration, and wisdom, insight, but it is not easy to reach the level that can achieve the jhana meditation states. For many monks in Thailand I know, they primarily practice walking meditation. They rarely sit for meditation. They practice walking meditation a lot, and many of them have attained very powerful insight while walking. Another advantage of walking meditation is that it is suitable for those who cannot sit for long, for some physical reason. If you find that sitting meditation causes you much pain or discomfort, then walking meditation may be a very effective alternative. Never consider walking meditation as a second-class meditation. If you really want to spend most of your meditation time walking, feel free to choose it. but you must do it well, practice carefully, and practice correctly to be effective. You will find that you will attain peace born from tranquility, concentration as you walk up and down the meditation path. Setting up walking meditation. Choose a straight, clear path, about 20 to 30 steps long. The path could be a hallway in a house, a path in a garden, or a trail on grass. Use any path possible, even if it's shorter than 20 steps. If the path is clean and comfortable, you should walk barefoot, feeling the contact between your feet and the ground. Stand at one end of the path. Prepare your mind. Relax your body and start walking. Walk to the other end and turn back, in a rhythm that feels natural to you. As you walk, clasp your hands comfortably in front and place your gaze on the path about 2 meters ahead. Be careful. Do not look left, right, or around. If while walking you keep noticing this and that, then the walking meditation is ineffective because your focus on the steps will be distracted. The stages of meditation are also applied in walking meditation. The first 4 stages of meditation explained in chapters 1 and 2 are also applied here in walking meditation. The only difference is, in walking meditation, the focus is on the feet rather than on the breath. First, you need to practice 1. Awareness of the present moment from stage 1. Use the techniques taught in stage 1 to achieve a state of just walking, gently, right here and now. When you feel that you have settled into the present moment, when thoughts of the past and future are no longer in your mind, then you aim to practice 2. Silent walking in the present moment. As explained clearly in stage 2, you gradually let go of all thoughts. Walk without any internal dialogue. You must know how to apply the techniques taught in chapter 1 to reach the stage 3, silent walking. Once the various thoughts in your mind have subsided, you actively direct your attention to the movements of both feet and the lower part of the legs, from the knees down. Continue in this manner until you clearly perceive each step on the path. Be aware of each left step, each right step, sequentially, not missing a single step. Thus, you only need to be silently aware, step by step, and let go of everything else. Once you have completed 10 laps on the path without missing a left or right step, you have completed stage 3 of the walking meditation method, and you can begin the next stage. Now, you must enhance your attention so that you can perceive every sensation of the movement of the left foot, right from the moment the left foot begins to move and lifts off the ground. Recognize when it lifts, moves forward, lowers, and touches the ground again, bearing the weight of the body. Continue practicing constant awareness on the left foot. Then continue to maintain consistent, regular awareness on the right foot in the same manner. Practice this way on each step until the end of the path. At the end of the path, when you turn around, pay attention to every sensation in the action of turning, not missing a single motion. When you have walked for about 15 minutes comfortably and have maintained focus on every moment of each step, without any interruptions or breaks, then you have reached stage 4 of walking meditation. 4. Maintaining full attention on each step. At this point, the process of walking has completely occupied your attention, so there is no room left for distraction. You know this is happening because your mind is entering a state of samadhi, focused tranquility, and the mind becomes very peaceful. Right concentration samadhi on the meditation path. Even the sound of birds singing disappears when your attention is fully focused on the experience of each step. Your attention is easily and satisfyingly sustained on one object. You will find this to be a genuinely pleasant experience. As your mindfulness increases, you become more aware of the sensations of each step. Then you will see the beauty and peace in walking meditation, just as you might have previously seen the beautiful breath in sitting meditation. Each step becomes a beautiful step, and it is very easy to attract your full attention, and you only feel wonder with the walking. You can achieve a lot of right concentration, samadhi, by walking meditation this way. The right concentration is felt as a state of peace, a sensation of tranquility, a sensation of the mind being very relaxed and very happy in its own world. I began practicing walking meditation when I had just been ordained as a monk at a temple in Bangkok. I chose a path, and completely naturally, without any effort, I walked slowly. You don't need to walk fast, and you don't need to walk too slowly. Just walk at a pace that feels comfortable to you. I often reached beautiful states of concentration while walking. I remember once being interrupted by a fellow monk who came to call me. I had been meditating for so long that I lost track of time. That day, I was supposed to attend an important ceremony in the temple. The monk was sent to find me. I remember him coming and calling, "Brahmavamso, you need to attend the dana ceremony, where lay people offer food and goods." I think I was still looking down at the path, about 2 meters ahead, my hands clasped in front. I heard the voice of that monk as if from thousands of miles away, because my mind was immersed in the state of concentration from walking meditation. The monk called again, "Brahmavamso, you need to come to the ceremony now." It took more than a minute for my eyes to leave the ground and look up at him. When I saw his eyes, I suddenly thought, "What's going on?" It took a moment like that for me to come out of the samadhi state and adapt back to the normal rhythm of life. My mind was then very cool and very peaceful and very calm. I hope you too can experience this peace when you practice walking meditation. Many people who practice walking meditation for the first time say, "This is wonderful, beautiful." Just slowing down brings a sense of peace. You become calm simply by observing the sensations of walking, choosing the right type of meditation for the moment. When you have many options, you might hesitate, unsure of which meditation method to choose. If you have read about several meditation techniques, how do you determine which one is most suitable for you? The following example may answer your question. In carpentry, an apprentice begins by learning how to handle and use various tools. Expert carpenters consider the type of wood before starting a particular woodworking project. A large log in the yard must be sawed into different sizes. Then, they need to smooth the rough sawn surfaces using sandpaper, starting with coarse grit, followed by medium grit, and finally fine grit. Ultimately, they apply varnish or wax with a soft cloth to polish the wood surface. Thus, from a rough, large log, the carpenter transforms it into beautifully smooth pieces of wood of various sizes for different uses, creating a visually appealing wooden item. Some surfaces of the wood piece do not need sanding, like the parts hidden inside the furniture, while other surfaces are sanded and varnished to a shine. This is the skill of the carpenter, knowing where and how to apply each technique. Similarly, those new to meditation should start learning how to use various meditation methods until they become familiar with each type. Those who are more advanced in meditation first consider the state of their mind before choosing which type of meditation to practice at that moment. If someone enters meditation from a very busy state of mind, they know they should start with a rough mind. Therefore, it is best for them to begin with simple letting be meditation, which involves just letting everything be to calm the mind down. However, if they feel physically tired or stiff, they should choose walking meditation. Once their mind is no longer so coarse, they can practice awareness of the present moment and then move on to silent awareness of the present moment. Experienced meditators always know when their mind can practice breath meditation or when it is appropriate to practice loving kindness meditation. They know when they can apply more refined tools, such as maintaining full attention on the breath or maintaining full attention on the beautiful breath. Just as a master carpenter knows how to create furniture and apply varnish to make a beautiful finished product, skilled meditators know when it is appropriate to shift to subtle meditation objects like nimitta and how to maintain it skillfully until the mind enters into the states of jhana concentration. Thus, a coarse mind from a busy office or marketplace can be transformed by a skilled meditator into the most beautiful, serene, and luminous mind. Often, skilled meditators begin their practice with a mind already calm and mindful. They quickly assess the state of the mind and know they can skip stages 1 and 2, going straight into breath meditation or loving kindness meditation. Sometimes, they might find their mind in such a joyfully peaceful state that they can start directly with stage 5, awareness of the beautiful breath. In rarer cases, master meditators might find their mind balanced and strong enough to generate the nimitta sign within seconds and quickly enter jhana. This is the skill of meditation masters. Inexperienced meditators, in their haste, might choose a rough piece of wood and apply varnish with a soft brush. They just waste time and ruin the soft brushes. They should plane it smooth or sand it many times with coarse sandpaper until smooth, then move to fine sandpaper before applying the varnish. Similarly, novice meditators, overconfident and hasty, might not take the time to recognize the coarse aspects of their mind and jump into practicing mindful breathing from the start. They just waste time and create many difficulties for themselves. Therefore, please take the time to practice and familiarize yourself with different types of meditation until you know when and how to use each type. From then on, each time you prepare to meditate, recognize the state of your mind and thereby know which meditation method is appropriate to apply first. You will become a physician of meditation, diagnosing the condition accurately before effectively treating it.